there, it's Kevin with the Rogue Deck Builder here with this week's episode of the Market Monday. So, I'd like to give you a handful of excuses of where I've been. I know it's been a while since I've done a Market Monday. I came down with coronavirus and got a new puppy and had a lot of work to catch up on, but we are back and I'm going to try to do this as a weekly episode. Har har, I know I say that all the time like a broken record, but we have a lot to talk about this week with the market. So, the MTG market is giving us some mixed signals. On one hand, we have some of the best sales ever. I think that Wizards of the Coast is going to release their data for Q3, Q4 coming up, and it's just going to knock it out of the park with how much Magic Gathering they have sold. However, it has not actually kept up. The pace has not kept up with the amount of stuff they are printing. And so we're starting to see a buildup in dead products, and that's a huge warning for Magic the Gathering going forward. So what used to make Magic the Gathering such a great just game to invest in or just to play in is even bad products sold. There wasn't a time period where we had this amount of buildup. In fact, the last time I remember Magic the Gathering being like this was during the big boom of Modern. So when Modern came around, when they announced Modern, we just had a huge increase in the player base. And we went from a few million active players to tens of million active players during the Return to Ravnica all the way through, Khans of Tarkir, Kaladesh era. Those were very healthy times for player base, but at the same time, Wizards of the Coast changed their reprint policy or their policies on printings where it was print to demand, and it didn't really keep up, or their printing, the new players didn't keep up with the amount they were printing, and we saw a stagnation in box prices and just sealed products for a long time until I would say the Commander players also then had a big boom for Magic the Gathering and were able to eat up those products. But when I started getting back into Magic the Gathering, I just remember Return to Ravnica boxes being $70, $80 for a whole decade. And it was one of those things that draft booster boxes were considered uninvestable because they just stagnated. And then we had about 2018, 2019, and then of course the coronavirus and the pandemic and the free money. We saw all that sealed product just get eaten up, and we saw box prices just go through the roof. And we also saw a time period when everything Magic the Gathering related was selling. You could wait a year in Amonkhet and Hour Devastation, which were considered stinker sets, were doubled up in price. And then now we've seen everything come back down. We've even seen prices on that time period start to come back down. And we've just seen, like I mentioned before, a huge buildup of dead products. So with the reprint policy, it's weird because Magic, I don't think, has really kept up with their new where they're just printing so many things like set boosters and collector's boosters. They're still doing this sort of print to demand, fill the market out, keep printing. And I think we've come to a tipping point just to where the market is just oversaturated with products. And they do want to avoid what happened during the time period of New Phyrexia or Innistrad. What happened during then was they ran out of booster boxes and stopped printing them while it was still in standard. It actually caused a problem with their competitive scene where people weren't able to get the cards that were necessary for their standard tournament scene because New Phyrexia and Innistrad were just so expensive at that time period. We had like New Phyrexia boxes being 3-4 times the rate at that time. So Wizards of the Coast, that's when they changed their policy that they would continue to allow printing as long as the market wants it. And now I think in 2021, we've seen this actually cause a problem. So a few things that they have reprinted recently is Strixhaven is getting a reprint for draft boosters. That was something that did go out of stock. A lot of people panicked with it. It's like, well, I thought you said you were going to do you were going to continue to print draft boosters. And yes, there has been another printing of Strixhaven. So there are a few other finance channels that called that and said, oh, Strixhaven's out of stock. Everyone go and buy it because this is going to be something that goes up because there isn't available. And now it's going to be another product that I think is just going to crash because of the new influx of product for the Strixhaven draft boosters. Meanwhile, we are sitting on just loads and loads of Strixhaven set boosters and Japanese set boosters, and it's just more product that I think the market can't handle. So that is on one hand with the great sales. On the second hand is we have just seen so many products. And just to give you some evidence here with the products, look at these prices here. So what we have is I've got the Commander products pulled up right now. So basically every Commander deck from Commander Legends on, so Commander Legends, Zendikar, Strixhaven, which is considered 2021, even Commander 2019, we have the Kaldheim, we have AFR, we have Midnight Hunt. all of those commander decks are basically null. They're basically down to distributor price. They have no value in them either. If we actually check over here, so this is Commander 2019. This is a product that should start to be gaining value. In fact, I've called this on my Rogue Market channel of you should buy this, you should buy this, you should buy this, thinking that this product would recover. But the amount of products that continue to come out and reprinting cards that are in this that shouldn't have seen reprints at this point, these are still pretty much meh products. We have Faceless Menace, if you piece it out, $65.68 if you were able to get everything out of it. But if you're actually realistically looking at cards over $2, you got like an Apex Altastar. What else in here? You have what, 2 cards? And Thrawn Dynamo and Overwhelming Stampede. That's it. That's it that you get from this one. Oh, I guess you get the Seedborn Muse, which was supposed to be the best reprint ever for a commander deck, and that one is still stagnating. And we have over at Mystic Intellect, you do have that Dockside Extortionist. However, nothing else in this entire thing. You got one other $4 card in the Savine's Reclamation. And then we come down to Primal Genesis, same kind of story. You have the Frostfang, and then basically nothing. You have one other card that's even worth over $2, or 2 others. You have Lightning Greaves and then the second Harvest. So very worrisome with a product like Commander 2019. You should start to see these $2 cards start to go up to $3, $4. But like I said, with all of these commander decks being reprinted and reprinted, or cards being reprinted in these later commander decks, because Wizard of the Coast gets in this rhythm of printing just the same cards over and over and over. And I've talked about this before on the channel, that Wizard seems to be, when they go to look to make a commander deck, they don't want to make any more value in it over than $100. So what they end up doing is they start looking at these cards. Oh, this is a $1 card. Let's reprint this one. And they end up reprinting the same bulk rares over and over and over, which never allows them to ever accrue any sort of value. And if we look at some of these other commander decks, you can see that the ones out of, let's see here, so Zendikar Rising is another good example. Same sort of story. There's just no value anywhere in these commander decks. And in fact, this one doesn't even appear to have anything over $2 in the entire thing. You have a Kadama's Reach, a common, is the second most expensive. Omnith Locus of Rage is the most expensive card in this sealed product. And we go over to the Rogues, same thing here. We have a Notion Thief, and yeah, that's the only card over $2. Soul Ring, or Obelisk of Erdin, and Notion Thief, and you have Soul Ring being the number 3 card, which is another thing about Soul Ring. This was a card that maintained value between $3 to $4. Every time it got reprinted, it bounced back up if it was just one commander printing per year. But now when we have a commander printing with every set, this is another card that just continues to go down. Same thing with like the Arcane Signet. And I'm expecting things like the Swiftfoot Boots to start being thrown in these particular sets too, and those will start to go down in value. So kind of the tried, tested, and true cards that were what we consider reprint proof are now starting to show some worrisome signs about their value. So if we go back over to some of the other ones that I've noticed, so the amount of products, here are some products that are still available at distributor pricing. So first of all, collector's editions. These were the ones that were going to be the big wild card. We didn't know how well collector's editions were going to age. The good news is things like Throne of Eldraine, which is still not that old in the scope of things, have gone up in value with the collector's edition. And it actually had quite a bit of supply for Throne of Eldraine, and they had these sleeve boosters with Throne of Eldraine. And same thing like Ikoria. Those were able to go up in value. Strixhaven was able to go up in value. Core 2020 was able to go up in value, or Core 2021. That was the collector's edition. Those ones will be able to go up in value. However, we still have Kaldheim collector's edition at or below distributor cost. We have AFR. I've never seen distributors blow this out. I saw a sale from a distributor for Adventures of the Forgotten Realm for $150 for collector's edition. That's probably their price that they get it at. So they just don't even want that asset. They're just trying to blow it out. And then we still see available with the Innistrad. Innistrad's another one that people thought was going to be a very popular commander or collector's edition. You never know with collector's edition if they're going to have high supply or low supply. So Kaldheim seemed to have high supply. Strixhaven had a little bit lower supply. Then we had high supply of Zendikar Rising. We had high supply, which had fetch lands in it, mind you. We had the collector's edition high supply with both AFR and it looks like Midnight Hunt, and those are all still available at distributor pricing. So on top of all the commander decks that typically did have pretty good inclusions when they were printed. They haven't been terrible with like these Midnight Hunt Commander decks or the Strixhaven Commander decks that were considered not intro level. The intro level ones were supposed to be at a discount and still be accessible, but still have some sort of value, and those have fallen very flat, like the battle for Zendikar ones, or the Commander ones, or Zendikar Rising, excuse me, Zendikar Rising or the Commander Legends ones. Those also haven't aged well. And then we even have, on top of those particular products, we still have the theme boosters, and basically every set booster that's been printed, those were introduced with Zendikar Rising. Set boosters are another product. I know they're still in standard, but they seem to have not only a ton of supply, but they also seem to be not really accruing any sort of value or really being worth it at this point. So this is the kind of the question going forward is what these sets do. I know that I posed this question in the last Market Monday, is what's better, set boosters, which have more value in them, or draft boosters because they actually have the ability to being purchased later on for people just wanting to draft a particular set. Oh, one of the things that I did notice, we'll kind of go through these things. So yeah, you see theme boosters are still available all the way back through Throne of Eldraine for basically the distributor pricing. I think they introduced them, when they introduced these, it looks like there was Dominaria theme boosters, but those are hard to come by. But everything from Throne of Eldraine onwards is still available from distributors. You can still get Ikoria, you can still get Throne, you can still get all of those Theros. All of those are still in high supply, and they haven't budged in pricing. Those are now considered rotated sets. Even another one that I wanted to show. Well, here I was pulling up all the collector's edition. So this is the price on TCG Player. So basically, out the gates, distributors want to charge between, I believe it's around 180 out the door after shipping and fees that you do as distributors. If you buy a lot from distributors, you can get that price down a little bit, but it's typically around that 170 to 180 price point. So a lot of these stores, if they did get them from distributors, are really not making any sort of profit on these collector's edition. We have the lowest one being with Kaldheim with being 162 with shipping, so 173. That's basically the cost out the door from what you're getting at distributors, and the same thing here. Again, if you are getting them from the sale from the 150 from distributors, then you're going to, after the TC player fees, you're really not making out on anything. So it seems like a bunch of these stores are just trying to recoup the value from the collector's boosters boxes rather than sitting on like a product that isn't that's just basically dead money. Another thing that I noticed that was, here we have Innistrad too. This is Innistrad with the latest collector's edition, already flatlining down to that distributor price. One of the things that I also noticed was pre-release packs. This was the first time that I've seen every distributor have Innistrad Midnight Hunt pre-release packs available. Typically, it's like one or two distributors. One of them will sell out. They'll have like a strong selling, and maybe another distributor didn't, so they'll offer them. Every single distributor that I use has Midnight Hunt pre-release packs available. Most of them still have AFR pre-release packs available. Two of them still have Modern Horizon pre-release packs available. And this is still at the regular price. This is at the pre-release price the stores pay. I've noticed things going back as far as Ikoria pre-release packs being were available until very recently. And this is something that pre-release packs used to outperform their counterparts like bundles or draft boosters very quickly. You can see if you look at like going down, I guess it's Eldritch Moon, but if you can find Throne of Eldraine, those ones are probably going for more, comparatively speaking, to something like the bundles or the booster boxes. So this is another big warning sign that not only are we seeing just a lot of buildup in products that you can make the argument for, like, okay, draft and sets, they don't know, they're still trying to gauge the market of how many they need to print of them. But pre-release packs were printed based upon pre-release numbers. These were things that the Wizard of the Coast made they were able to look at the numbers and expected this amount to be sold, and then they give a little bit of padding for distributors, so if they happen to miss a store, that they can still have some of these in circulation. And we're seeing all of them, Zendikar Rising, Kaldheim, Innistrad, Modern Horizons, are still available in mass quantities from distributors. So that's a huge, huge warning sign with the buildup of products. So what is the cause of the buildup of products? If we have all these products available, what's the issue? Well, the issue are these sets. Here are the ones we had since this release date: Time Spiral, remastered, March 1st, 2021. The supply seemed to be low, but it ended up being a lot higher than people gave it credit for. We have Time Spiral. This one soaked up a ton of money. Then we had Jumpstart. Jumpstart's been a tricky one because this was a set that came out the gates, sold out, had a huge value. This was actually very, very tough to come by. And it seems like they've just continued to slowly release Jumpstart over and over and over and over. I wish they would do a Jumpstart type set instead of theme boosters. I think that would be better for their sales. I don't think theme boosters are the cheapest thing for them to print. They have large packagings and they're kind of bulky. And Jumpstart, I think, going to the game stores rather than theme boosters, I think it'd be a good move for Wizards of the Coast. But that's another video for another day. Then we had Jumpstart soaking up a ton of money. This release date was July 17, 2020. Didn't have a big supply, but then Wizards of the Coast has put out a number of reprintings for Jumpstart. Instead of allowing this to be a one and done, they continue to print it and print it and print it, which has gobbled up a lot of the market. And now Jumpstart's even coming down in price, just the amount of Jumpstart that has been available recently to the distributors. Next thing, a huge one was Commander Legends. This is another thing that we didn't know how Wizards of the Coast was going to react to this. So now Commander Legends just had another printing or another restocking to distributors. This one probably is the final one. I'm thinking this is the final one for Commander Legends, but this was another set that was just a knock out of the park, which is so much value that why buy a standard set when you can get into something like Commander Legends. The next one up is like mystery booster boxes. Mystery booster boxes had the mystery booster box release and the convention release that has also had these little small waves that were allowed to stores that were able to gobble up a lot of money. And then we even had Commander Green that was in there. And so if you look at all the products that have been, typically we get like a dual deck, or we would get a master set, or we get something like that, one per year, maybe a couple per year. You never saw this amount of products. Even Double Masters wasn't that long ago, and I wouldn't be surprised if Wizards of the Coast releases another one soon coming out that will be like another Masters-based set. I think they already announced there's going to be some sort of conspiracy type set. I think that was in the work, and we have a lot of these crossover sets, and it just seems like the saturation will never end for Magic the Gathering products. So it's kind of $1 million question is what's it going to take? Like, I don't think that you can replicate the pandemic again with kind of the free money, people bored at home, the nostalgia hitting on it, all at the perfect time period to where there's just a lot of money available to scoop up all of the dead products. I remember at that time period, there were things like Amonkhet bundles that had been kind of rotting on the distributor shelves for a while. There was a lot of the collector's edition type from Ikoria and Theros and that time period. All of that's when the pandemic hit, and we had that little window of where the supply or the demand was just so much higher than the supply of things that things were able to be purchased. And I think that it was. I hate to say that Wizards of the Coast got lucky with something so tragic as something like coronavirus or the lockdowns and stuff, but I think they really did. That's what it took to have all of this product that was already building up being able to be gobbled up because of just this situation was perfect. And I think we saw the same thing for Pokemon, and it's not just Magic the Gathering. Pokemon is also starting to see where they have their supply issues now. They've got their printer up and running for their exclusive printer for the Pokemon products. We're seeing reprintings in things like Chilling Reign and Evolving Skies and Battle Styles, and Celebrations is getting a full new reprint. We had like Shining Fates and Champion's Path get reprints. And so when people were still trained that these were one and done and you better get in this FOMO right now, and they have companies like Wizards of the Coast like FOMO, and then they do a switcheroo and then reprint it, then we're going to see this buildup of products. And again, it hasn't caused a crash at the moment, but I don't know how long the strategic partners of Wizards of the Coast and Pokemon can actually handle this with just the amount of buildup with products. And so if distributors are loaded with these sort of products, you better believe that stores are as well. I have quite a bit of buildup of set boosters. That was something that usually sells out by now for like Innistrad and Strixhaven, Strixhaven still do. So Strixhaven, usually I'm out of my supply. So what I basically do is I just take all my numbers available from distributors. So they'll give me release allocations, and they'll give me pre-release allocations and release allocations, and I just take whatever I can get at that point. And then I've been confident that a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks down the road, I'll be able to blow through that inventory and then order as needed. And what I'm seeing in my store right now is I just have a lot of buildup of especially set boosters and commander decks. Those are the two things that aren't moving, and they're very hard for me to move because I don't have an outlet like I used to with like eBay or TC Player to at least recoup value. If I were to try to recoup value on set boosters at this time with these prices, there's no way I'd be able to recoup my value with set boosters with trying to sell a booster box for $90 on TC Player, getting hit by the 12% fees, and I know they do like a sealed one. It's a little bit less, but it's still going to come out more for my time and everything to try to sell this at this point and get hit with those fees and whatnot. So again, that's where I'm kind of lead into. We're going to watch the market pretty closely. You can actually see like Dongler prices are quite good. This is another kind of warning sign with sealed product. Typically, when you see sealed products in the 80s, when they're like the distributor price is very similar to what the expected value, you actually start to see a run on that product. But we're not seeing that. Adventure of the Forgotten Realms is considered one of the worst sets, and it's got a market value of an $84 for Adventure of the Forgotten Realms. I really wish like Dongler or a few of these other sites would start incorporating set boosters. There's another site I've been using called Echo MTG, and it looks like they are still doing booster box prices as well. You can actually, if you have a membership to Echo MTG, not sponsored by them, but I do use this to look at trends. They have a lot of pricing right here on their website. And you can actually track your own collection and whatnot and see daily updates for stuff. But you can see right here too, for Midnight Hunt, the expected box value, if you're actually taking in consideration cards that aren't going to get you the box value price back, is around $49.40, which is it's quite low for a new set coming out. But typically those ones have rebounded. We've seen some rebounds in some of these older sets go back up in price. And we have this kind of discrepancy. The last one I want to show where I can tell that sealed product just isn't selling, or it used to be where draft boosters or people are drafting or are just buying that, the hallmark product for that set. We have commons that are $170. I think we had one out of this set too. Where's the one out of Midnight Hunt, which is the blue card, the Consider. Yeah, we have a $150 common here with Consider. We still have Express Iteration, which is expensive out of an uncommon out of Strixhaven. We have lots of rares that I think shouldn't be the value that they are. If you go back to like the Zendikar Battle for Zendikar days, there was a 4 of was the lands get +2/+2, the 2/3 vigilance guy. I can't remember what it was, but it was a 4 of in I think it was around 40% of all decks in standard, and it couldn't crack over $3 just because of how many people were opening up just the regular draft boosters for those expeditions, and we saw single prices go way far down as a result of people buying the sealed product. But you see, in this, you see commons and uncommons that are over $1, $2. The common Dragon's Approach for $3.23. This is something that, right out the gates, you could get these for pretty cheap, and then people building commander decks down the road, they'd go up to $2, $3 for a common. But it's just kind of insanity, which just shows that that draft boosters particularly aren't being opened at the rates they were. And of course, this is just a representation of when you put collector's editions and set boosters and all the other things into the mix, you're going to have less of the draft boosters and less commons as a whole being opened. So commons, I guess, are the new uncommons, and rares and uncommons are the new commons with the way that set boosters and collector's editions work. So there you have kind of the topic that I have for today. My question is for you: where do you see the market going forward? Will there be a time that the market can play catch up with the amount of product, or are we just going to head to more of an avalanche type problem of the supply just building up and building up, building up? I think for a healthy market for the Pokemons, the Yu-Gi-Ohs, and Magic the Gathering is they need to still be that tried, tested, and true. I think that people buying into the game and stores and distributors need to feel confident that whatever they put out will sell. And that's what used to be so good about Magic and not about Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! I can remember time periods where Yu-Gi-Oh! Would be sold at like 90% off, or 90%. 90% off, so 10% of the original value of a set, of the MSRP of a set, because you had distributors that just, or stores that just wanted it gone because it was just such a toxic asset. It wasn't, wasn't going anywhere. But Magic's never done that. It's been very, very rare that we saw like a stinker product go below distributor price or people actually lose money. Some of the worst time periods of Magic Gathering were just stagnation, where you weren't making money off of products, and that killed a lot of stores, and that killed a lot of investments and players and things like that. But at least it didn't just completely break the bank like we've seen in years with Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh, with these products just being absolutely just disasters. But if Wizards continues this up, I don't know. I don't know where we're going to go with these. Like, theme boosters are going to start to see some massive discounts on like theme boosters or set boosters in particular, as I don't know how much longer these distributors and stores can just keep the stockpile of these products. So anyway, that's my question to you, is where do you see this going? Do you see, I know that Rudy just put out a video about collector's boosters. He's pretty bullish on that for the long term, but I haven't seen collector's booster prices kind of stagnate the way they have with these ones. And typically what the biggest warning is, we are going into like the hot market of Magic the Gathering. Typically it's November. It's even, you can go into October. October through March is the hot period for Magic the Gathering. We start to see prices go up in value. And what we're seeing right now is the opposite, that things are just really coming down at this time period. Again, mixed messages though. I think as a whole, Wizards of the Coast is still making just obscene profits. They have their secret layers that are still doing well. They have now their crossover sets that I'm assuming are going to do quite well. But how much longer can they do this on kind of the backs of the distributors and the game stores that are being stuck with these type of products that aren't moving? And what is that going to do with the confidence in people actually purchasing sets? And are we going to see like the pendulum swing back the other way, where we have stores refuse to like or buy a lot less of the draft boosters and the set boosters? And will that lead to a time period where now the set boosters and the draft boosters will be that product that will just be so juicy for in the long term, because there just wasn't that many acquired or actually printed? That will be like the $1 million question to see. So keep your eye out for this type of market discussion, because I think it's a very interesting topic to look at. So yeah, I'll be looking at it, and we'll go ahead and start doing these on a weekly basis for the Market Monday, and especially over the Rogue Market. I'm going to get that channel back up and running with the daily specs and whatnot. So hope you enjoyed this video. This has been Kevin with the Rogue Deck Builder. I'm not going to get a puppy or a coronavirus anytime soon, hopefully. So hopefully we'll have some time going into winter where I'm going to give this channel and the other channels some attention. Hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching.